Linux gaming isn't looking too good, but there is still hope. So why is it important for us? If you look at the description of my channel, this is literally what I say. Gaming on Linux is the future, and I'm here to prove it. What you will find on this channel is live streams, review, tutorial, and gaming highlight. Thanks for reading this detailed description. Now grab a membership on YouTube and or Patreon to support the channel. Alright, chat? So it's literally like gaming, tech, and Linux. That's the three big axes of the channel. And our friendo, Nico, is literally telling us it might not be the case. I want to react to his video and see like what he said. Because I really like his perspective and I like to discuss it. Whoa, it's 17 minutes. 17 minutes chat. No problemo, la mamano. Let's get into it. I'm gonna start the video. Nick, if you watch this video on my channel and you are upset about me using your content, please don't hesitate to copy strike me. No problemo, I will remove it. If you're okay with it, it's fine. If you want to talk about it together, I'm down. We do a podcast or whatever format you like. I'm here. And we can do it in French, en français, or in English, whatever you like. Let's get into it.
So, Rockstar just cut off Linux users from the multiplayer mode of GTA 5. But this is just the latest slab in the long list of slabs that game developers have just given us Linux users over the past few years.
Okay, this is how we start, huh, chat? We are getting slapped in the face. Bro, are we getting slapped in the face? I think this is how we start. Do we have viewers who like to get slapped in the face? I don't.
And behind the click-worthy title of this video, there's an absolute truth. As much as Linux gaming is now a thing you can actually do instead of being a completely deluded attempt, the safety of the current methods we use to game is far from guaranteed. So let's take a look at why Linux gaming is on very thin ice still, and why it could very easily fall into being something not exactly feasible. Okay, so let's start.
Whoa. Okay, so I agree with every point there. So the fact that Rockstar removed the access from the Linux user for the online gaming is just atrocious, chat. But it's a reality, okay? And we already talk about it. Okay, we talk about it. It is what it is. And this idea, so there is a lot of points there. We'll see if we can get into it. But I can't disagree with any of it. It's great, but we are not there yet. Okay, let's get into it. Let's see what he has to say, how he's gonna start to argue, but I agree with this point there.
With the bad things happening to Linux gaming, because it is already sort of on a slippery downward slope. To begin with, we have the current mess that is Steam Play, Proton, but more generally the Valve Steam Deck compatibility rating. This thing is useful, no doubt. It tells you if your game will run on the Steam Deck or on a Linux PC before you buy. It's specifically made for the Steam Deck, but you can assume any verified or playable game will also run on any Linux computer. And some unplayable games on the deck...
Okay, so this is another problem, right? So I didn't see this video, chat, but like I see it's going in the direction showing that the Steam Deck compatibility, like little icon on Steam, is not really representative of if the game is compatible or not. But to be fair, it never was, right? Like it never was. Maybe it needs some work, but if you go on ProtonDB, you're gonna have a better understanding of what is actually going on. Now, when you talk about the, latest Warhammer out there, this has been corrected, chat. So, since I've been gaming, because I've been gaming on Linux for like 3 years now, okay? There is a lot of games, sometimes, that push update and forget to re-enable, the anti-cheat system. It happened, I made like 3 or 4 videos on Apex Legends because I think the name of the company called Respawn, which are like the developer of Apex Legends, they just forget to re-enable the easy anti-cheat feature. So you couldn't play the game. But it doesn't mean that they they stopped supporting Linux, it was just a mistake. And it happens like maybe 3 or 4 times. If I remember correctly, the Warhammer issue there with the Space Marine version, because this happened like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine was not compatible anymore, and then they re-add it like right away. It's not them ditching Linux, it's just a mistake. I just want to make clear, because I think he's going to be talking about that, but like...
will work on a regular Linux PC, but it's more of a gamble. The issue is, this rating changes, and not always positively. It's a measure of how well a game runs right now.
Yes.
Which can evolve in 2 ways. The rating can get better, as in the game gets more playable, it sometimes happens, but also the rating can get worse up to the point where the game becomes unplayable, which is very unpleasant. And not just because, oh no, I can't play this game anymore, which wouldn't be too bad, but because it means that Valve's rating system is utterly untrustworthy as a purchasing aid. You can't rely on this rating to purchase a game for
Okay, that's a
Linux
fair point.
or the Steam Deck specifically, because this rating is done by Valve themselves, not by the game developer. It doesn't imply official support from the devs. And if the developers change something for Windows users that breaks Linux gaming, we're out of luck. Well, mostly. Valve can...
Okay, so this is a fair point. Okay, like, and we knew it from the get-go. Only the dev decide if the game is going to be compatible with Linux or not. This is a fair point. But it doesn't mean that most of the game are going to be not compatible in the future. Right?
And sometimes does fix problems straight in the Proton compatibility layer. But some changes Valve cannot fix at the Proton level, meaning that you might purchase a game because it's marked as verified, which is a strong hint that you can purchase this, it's gonna run on your device. And then days, weeks, months, or years later, the game could become completely unplayable out of the blue or lose access to certain features like a multiplayer mode. I don't have to explain why this is
Okay. So this is a fair point. This is a fair point. This is a real fair point, chat. But the truth, boys and girls, is that you can get your money back on Steam. So I was reading, I think it was on Reddit, a lot of users were disappointed with GTA 5, right? And what they did, well, guess what? They get their money back. No question asked. So I understand it sucks that you can't play the multiplayer anymore, but you know, if you're not happy, you can still get out and you will be fine, right? I'm just saying. Even after a few dozen hours, yes. So, like, I remember reading this post about like GTA 5 player were like, oh, I want out. And so they asked for their money back. They got their money back, dude. And it was years after. So my guess is that on this specific game where, you know, they were like totally like Steam Deck approved, if you go there and you say, no, I don't want to be in anymore, you can be out, right? So are you already losing something? Like, he made a fair point. I'm not saying he's wrong. Like, he's totally right about everything he said, but I'm trying to make it like clearer for everyone. Like, it's like, yes, you might lose access on Linux on your game. Now, what is the outcome? You can get your money back. Is it going to work 100% of the time? I don't know, but I read it on Reddit. Boom.
Bad for Valve or for Linux in general. It makes our platform look completely unreliable. Which it is, really, because games running on Linux is currently just a happy accident, an unsupported way, in most cases, to get a game to run on a platform it was never designed for, and that the original devs don't want to support and don't support. It's not always the case. Sometimes game developers do support their game officially through the use of Proton. The problem is, most game developers never officially said that they're okay with this, and games that are officially supported by their developers through Proton and games that aren't are mixed with the exact same rating system, which is obviously not good. Of course, most of the games...
Okay. Here there is a lot to say, chat. I agree with the fact it sucked. It sucks with the fact that you could lose access to certain game. I agree. But as he said, and I think he made a fair point there, like it's not optional, but I don't like the wording he used. He said it's a happy accident that you actually can play on Linux. It's not the truth. The fact that we can play on Linux is because Valve is pushing a lot of effort to develop, their Steam Deck, right? And the fact that we are playing on Linux is a result of that. It's not an happy accident. It doesn't guarantee you that 100% of the game you own are going to be playable. And it doesn't also guarantee you that the game which are playable today are going to be playable in the future. But it also doesn't guarantee the fact that the game which are not playable today will not be playable in the future. So, in my opinion, and it's just my 2 cents there, it's really the way you look at the glass. It's like the half glass theory here. It's like, do you look at, the emptiness of the glass, or do you look at the glass which is already full there? We are not in a perfect case scenario where the glass is fully, full. Can I say that? But you get it, right? Like the way I see it, and maybe I'm too positive. Okay, maybe I'm too positive. But I do believe that in the future, the devs are gonna have to work a little bit more on Linux. And not because they want to, but because they have to. We'll talk about Windows 11 in the next React video. But you will see that a lot of people, they might be pushed away from Windows for a lot of reasons. And the alternative for gaming, there is only one today, and it's Linux. If you are not gaming on Windows, it's hard to game on Apple. It's really hard to game on a Mac. So it's like, the real alternative is going to be Linux. And so if the market share grow, developers, they're going to have to activate it. That's the way it is.
Become unplayable or have never been playable, that's due to anti-cheat software. The anti-cheat situation on Linux is still very problematic. I would argue it's actually getting worse.
So this I don't agree, it's not getting worse. This I don't agree with this take. Proton is a sign that it's gonna be long term. But here again, it's just the way you look at it. Right? Because right now it's gonna be I don't know, some game are just losing their access to anti-cheat, for example, GTA 5. Okay? Which sucks. I agree, it sucks. I can see the opposite. But is it gonna stay like that? We don't know. Right? It is what it is now. My belief is it's gonna go in a direction where it's gonna be getting better and better. Even if it's maybe worse to date. Making a simple case a generality is not the right way, my opinion.
Major anti-cheat solutions are available for native Linux games, and they also support running the games with Proton, notably Easy Anti-Cheat from Epic or BattleEye.
So yes, the 2 anti-cheat which are actually supported are only Easy Anti-Cheat and BattleEye right now.
Can make these solutions work on Linux through Proton doesn't mean that game developers actually do that. Easy Anti-Cheat from Epic is used by a lot of games that run perfectly on Linux. BattleEye works on Ark Survival Evolved or DayZ. This can work, and for pretty big games as well. So why are game developers not enabling these solutions for their games when they're run with Proton? For example, Fortnite, made by the same company as the one who makes Easy Anti-Cheat.
Yeah, but this guy is... Listen.
Fortnite doesn't run on Linux.
But this is the owner of Epic Games, which literally trash Linux day after day. He said Fortnite will never go on Linux, point. He just decided it. So let's see what he said there.
And the CEO of Epic said it will never happen until Linux has tens of millions of users. Which I would argue
it's already the case. It's already the case. This guy, I don't know him personally, but each time I read a tweet like with him, it's just nonsense. Because when he said, for example, like, yeah, we're gonna give access to Fortnite when we reach million of users, bro, we're already there. We already passed million a long time ago, but he didn't validate it. So okay, this is nonsense. What he said is just nonsense. I'm not talking about Nick. I'm talking about the Epic guy founder. Okay, like please.
Already has with the number of Steam
Yeah,
decks
exactly.
that have been sold and the number of Linux PCs in the wild that can play games. We do have tens of millions of potential
Easily.
customers. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
Rockstar just moved GTA 5 online to BattleEye.
So again, just to make clear, what it means is that some of the companies, they just don't want Linux. But again, my argument is to say in the future, the Linux market share is going to be so big that they're going to have to include them, whether they like it or not. So this is the first example. So let's see the second one.
But they decided not to enable support for Linux through Proton. They even phrased it as if it was the Steam Deck not supporting their choice of anti-cheat, even
Which
though
is wrong.
it does, and it's Rockstar that decided not to enable that support. Destiny 2 also uses BattleEye and has...
Okay, so for Rockstar, my guess, it's related to anti-cheat and cheat itself. Because, let's be honest, GTA 5 Online is full of cheater. It's just full of cheater. There is cheater everywhere. That's why they moved to BattleEye. But I'm going to tell you straight, BattleEye is not going to help, okay? But my belief is that it's going to be easier on their end to try to focus on the cheater on Windows than adding the cheater on Linux. So let me rephrase that. They're going to have issue with cheater no matter what. By adding Linux, another platform is going to make it even harder on their end to try to stop. So I'm not saying that most of the Linux users are cheater. I'm saying that from their perspective, it's going to be smarter to just focus on Windows first, maybe. Maybe then when they kind of like handle it, moving to Linux, right? So to give you an example, like they release the BattleEye update on GTA 5. 2 days after, on GitHub, you could find cheat to bypass the anti-cheat requirement on Linux. Okay, I'm not saying you should do it, but it's there. Or it was there at least. Okay? So, you know, like, I think Linux is another beast for them to handle compared to Windows, and I do understand why they would push away the Linux community, because we have to see it as it is. Like, there is a lot of like keyboard warrior out there on Linux too. Now, are they right to do it? Are they not right to do it? It's another, debate. But you have to understand their perspective, right? I feel like Valve or someone else will find better way of making anti-cheat compatible with Linux through a compatibility layer. I think in the future we're gonna find better way for, anti-cheat in general. Maybe with AI. That's my big hope. It will be like some type of like server AI anti-cheat, and you don't have to run it on your machine, and it will be dependent on your operating system. That's what I've loved to see in the future. Do you have an English accent when you speak French? No. Okay, thank you, dude. Hopefully the market share keep growing at the Steam rate is growing right now. Yes, it will. 1.87% still Steam stat Linux OS based. You can expect, like all works, it's going to be better when user base is decreasing. Yes.
Repeatedly said that they will never enable it for
Okay,
Linux.
so Destiny 2 is the same as Epic. Since the beginning, they say, no, we don't want it.
They will actually ban people trying to join from Linux.
Voilà, they said
you
it.
also have all the stuff that uses the terribly invasive Vanguard anti-cheat that doesn't support Linux at all.
Okay, so this one, so Destiny, they say they don't want it. Same case as Epic. Now, this is another one. We have the Valorant case and the Vanguard and all the other anti-cheats which are at the kernel level, okay? So Vanguard, kernel level. There is another one on PUBG. Like every editor has its own version, okay? So here is Tencent. Vanguard is super intrusive and it doesn't stop anybody to cheat in the game. It has been proven. So listen, guys. In my opinion, and just my opinion here, you really want to play this, just install Windows on another SSD and enjoy it, Okay, like I'm not judging you. What I'm saying is like for Linux in general, it's just better not to have this because it just doesn't work. So not only it's intrusive, but it doesn't work. So why, like, why do you want to play those games? I don't get it, chat. Maybe I'm crazy, but I just my 2 cents. So here it's another issue because those kernel anti-cheats, they are against the vision of Linux, and it will never happen. It could happen in certain case scenario. I don't want to get there, but it's not going to happen. And it's better for everyone, to be fair.
Of Legends or Valorant. You also have Roblox, who tried to make Linux support happen, but ultimately decided against it. That's a lot of big names that do run 100.
Okay, so for what? So for Roblox, I think it's the same issue related to GTA 5. They blocked it. Okay, like that's all. They blocked it, and maybe there is too much cheater on Linux. Maybe it's too complicated for them to handle. Because you have to understand. So I'm gonna say it again, but like if you're a company and you employ like one guy on the background to work on the cheat problematic, or even if you outsource that to another company, if you add another operating system, you increase the complexity, you're gonna have to spend more resource. And from a company standpoint, it's easy. It's like, what is the market share? How much money do I have to spend? That's all. Simple as that. If the market share is too small, boom, no support. And it's fair. Okay, like it sucks, but it's fair.
100% fine on Linux. Mechanically, those games open, launch, and play. It's just that their game developers or publishers arbitrarily decided not to support Linux.
So arbitrarily, I don't agree with that. Like it's not arbitrarily. Like it's not like, oh, we don't like Linux. It's not the truth. It's like, I told you, there is financial decision, there is complexity decision behind it. Like I've been following, for example, like Escape from Tarkov. I played it. I was a North American champion onto it. Like I spent a ton of hours into Escape from Tarkov, okay? And I would love to be able to play on Linux. But they won't do it. The game is infested with cheater. They can't handle it on Windows. Can you imagine if they open the door to Linux? They will be even more toasted. So it's not arbitrary. It's like, you have to see like their perspective, right? Anyways.
Linux specifically. Except it's not that arbitrary at all.
Ah, voilà!
Because there are two main reasons.
Bro! Dude! Okay, Nick, we need to do this podcast, brother. We need to do it.
Here. First, you can't really run anti-cheat software with Proton at the kernel level, because Proton doesn't have these privileges. It runs in user space, like a program that your user runs. These kernel-level anti-cheats thus don't work on Linux, and can't make sure that the system itself hasn't been tampered with. This means that these tools are potentially less effective against cheating on Linux.
That's a fair point.
It also means that to let Linux gamers join the game, they have to let users that don't have the kernel-level anti-cheat software running play on their servers, meaning that some Windows users can now try and make that work as well by masquerading as Linux users, all the while they actively cheat on Windows.
Okay, so this is exactly what I said. He's saying it in a different way, but you have to see, like, imagine if they are doing that. The amount of work above that is required on the dev side. Think about it, the complexity he adds.
It just opens a door for cheaters that are determined enough.
Okay,
a
I
door
agree with
that you wouldn't have to open if you didn't accept Linux gamers.
Exactly.
So yes, in most cases, a game developer only has to tick one small checkbox to enable their anti-cheat to work on Linux and to let Linux gamers join in on the fun. Except it has major consequences because cheaters are scum and they will use any single little opening to try and cheat on Windows.
Don't cheat, guys.
Even if that opening was made for Linux
Never
users.
Cheat.
Of course, plenty of big games have opened these doors to Linux users and they're not necessarily facing giant cheating issues, so I couldn't really say if those concerns are valid.
Yeah, but that he doesn't know. You see, he doesn't know that. But maybe they know in their backend. This I don't agree with you, Nick. Like this, I don't agree. Because it starts from the assumption that there is not a lot of cheater using Linux, but we don't know that. And I believe that if they didn't do it on their end, that's my belief. It's because there is way more than we think.
or not. Now these are just the Linux-related problems, because Linux games are Windows
Microsoft can
games,
snuff
really,
us
that
out.
use a third-party tool to run, namely Proton. The moment Microsoft implements something that can't legally be re-implemented with Proton, or can't technically be re-implemented through Proton, Linux gaming is dead. And it's not a metaphor, like it's really dead. If Microsoft updates to DirectX 27 and makes it either technically impossible to run that API on anything that doesn't have a specific dedicated security chip that only has drivers for Windows.
Oh wait, it tricked me, dude. Obviously, this is a fake article for the sake of having something to show on screen. Okay, I was like, what is he saying?
Then games made with DirectX 27 will never run on Linux. If Microsoft adds some kind of built-in upscale filter that all developers
Okay, this is never going to happen, chat. Like, this Doom approach is never going to happen. Because I do believe that most of the devs, they need to have access to that to do their game. So it's not like they can close it and let us on the side. It has to be open. And if it's open, well, Valve can work on it. So for me, this doesn't make sense. It could happen in theory, but it will never happen.
Make use of and is patented in Windows, no chance we will reproduce this through Wine and Proton, and we might not be able to translate it either. If DirectX starts using features provided by Copilot on Windows or whatever other AI bullshit Microsoft adds to their OS, then it's game over for Linux. Basically, any Windows exclusive system feature or any hardware-backed feature that Microsoft adds and developers embrace can kill Linux gaming outright. Right now, this isn't happening.
I don't think they will do that.
Doesn't mean that it couldn't happen. Have you heard about this rumor that Microsoft wants to kill kernel-level anti-cheat and people think Microsoft will save Linux gaming? Well, it's a false rumor and it's completely fabricated. Microsoft wants to implement another way to have such system access with less chances of killing the operating system, like with the CrowdStrike incident. This means that in the future, Microsoft will look at Windows-specific ways to run kernel-level tools. Ways that we likely will not be able to replicate on Linux because our way of running Windows games, Proton, doesn't run at the kernel level.
Chat.
So no, Microsoft is not going to save Linux gaming. Chances are if they implement one solution like this and all developers flock to it, they might actually kill Linux gaming instead. Another big thing is competition.
So this I don't agree with it. Like this idea that Microsoft could block it, it's not going to happen. They could, but it's not going to happen. If you look at, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I read an article about how the API, even in DirectX, are going towards Vulkan. So Vulkan is going to become the standard. So my point is that they have no interest of doing it. They don't. Could it happen? Yeah, it could happen. But I don't think it's going to happen. If it happened, I'm staying on Linux and buying consoles. That's all no Windows for me. Okay, Steve.
Another big thing is competition for the Steam Deck. The deck sold really well, but nowadays it's super underpowered and plenty of newer games just do not run on the Steam Deck. Technically, they don't have good frame rates, meaning that developers have no incentive to try and optimize their games for the deck. Because if there is no chance your game will ever run decently on that hardware with at least 30 FPS at the lowest settings, then why would you bother supporting the platform? And this means no anti-cheat support for Linux in general either, which hamstrings...
Okay, so this argument is going to be bypassed. So let's say it's true. I don't know. I don't own a Steam Deck. I can't tell you if it's playable or not. Okay? I don't own a Steam Deck. But Valve, if you watch the video, don't forget to send me a Steam Deck, please. Thank you. I would be really happy to have one to do more content. But like this is another debate. My point is that no, I don't see it. I don't see the problem because even if it's a problem right now, next release of Steam Deck with better, hardware in it is gonna solve this issue. So if the dev are just not developing for the Steam Deck because the Steam Deck is not as powerful now, they are maybe blocking some sales in the future for the new Steam Deck. And I don't think they are that stupid. Maybe they are, but I don't think they are.
All non-Steam Deck gamers as well. Basically, Linux gaming is entirely dependent on Valve right now. And I can hear a bunch of you, Steam gaming is not the entirety of Linux gaming, I only buy my games on GOG or whatever. Congrats, there are thousands of you compared to millions of Linux users of Steam. Steam gaming is Linux gaming. For better or worse, the two are completely linked. Let's be honest, Valve makes Linux gaming possible even if you don't use Steam to run your games. You can play stuff with Heroic or Lutris or another launcher, but it runs with either a customized version of Proton or a heavily modified version of Wine that takes away a lot of stuff from Proton. DXVK and VKD3D weren't created by Valve, but a lot of their current work is funded and done by Valve. Without these things, you don't have Linux gaming. If Valve decides that the Steam Deck is not worth it, and SteamOS doesn't really have a shot, then Proton is dead, and Linux gaming dies with it. Let's be honest, Proton would survive, it's open source, people would...
But they can do it. You understand what is at stake now, right? Like, they are in a point where they are making certainly a lot of money by selling Steam Deck, and they are making money with user, you know, buying game on Steam for the Steam Deck. So we are at a point where Valve is not going to stop Proton. Like, they are too much in. It's not happening, dude. If it was a failure, like the previous, like SteamOS, I would say yes, we are in, this is bad. But like, Steam Decks are always sold out. They are selling like pancake or croissant. Or pain au chocolat, for people who knows. So we are solid, dude. Like, I'm not scared about that at all. Valve is our only lifeline, that's true, but they are solid. They are not going to give up. And you can see, like, my latest video on Arch and Valve, they are putting even more money into it because they want to continue. Peter Griffin will send you the Steam Deck. Man, finger crossed. Pain au chocolat? Yes. Chocolate bread. You don't know about that? Man, Warrior Office 33, you need to try pain au chocolat. This is the way, dude. Okay, let's continue.
Would keep contributing to it, but without the backing of such a giant company as Valve is going to... no chance the compatibility stays as high as it is right now. Of course, it's not all...
Okay, I conclude on that. Valve is going to continue. No problem.
We are currently on the precipice edge, but there are a lot of indications that we might actually fall on the right side of the cliff. First...
Okay, so we are not on the precipice edge. I don't agree with that. We are not on the precipice edge. We are owning, chat. We passed that. We were on the precipice... I think we were on the precipice edge 3 years ago, before the launch of the Steam Deck. But now we are solid, dude.
Valve is really committed. You do not start your own hardware with the Steam Deck and its OLED model if you don't think there is a path to success. You do not. It is a huge investment for a company that earns money by basically doing nothing. They're just letting a store server run in the background and tweaking the visuals of the app every 10 years. Valve could have just sat down and let the money flow in by doing virtually nothing. They've had it easy for a long time.
So this I don't agree with, dude. I don't agree with him. I think Valve, if they want to survive, they need to get rid of the monopoly of Microsoft. And I think they understood it. Because Microsoft could ban them from... It would be really easier for them to get... So let me rephrase that. If Microsoft wanted to build their own store and kick the other one from their operating system, it will be easier to do that than do anything else. So it will make people upset, but they will still do it. So now, right now, I do believe that Valve, and this is just my belief, but like they needed to be platform free. Like they needed to have a place where they could exist even if Microsoft was not to exist tomorrow. So, you know, it would have been a risk not to do it, rather than doing it. So it's just my 2 cents there, dude.
Time, and they could have cruised on that for longer and longer.
I'm not sure about that.
The fact that they decided to commit that many resources and that much effort means that they don't see their future lying with Windows, and they want to have more control over the distribution of their store and the games in it. So they are committed. We also have other things on
Agree
the
with that.
horizon. Valve says that they want to have SteamOS available to other computers, but we also have investment from big companies like Square Enix and Samsung in Playtron OS, another Linux-based distribution made specifically to be sold to handheld manufacturers and PC makers so that they have an OS that is not
We're gonna
Windows.
have to try this one when he actually worked on NVIDIA, chat.
Game store company, which some developers would probably be wary to link themselves
I want to believe
too
in
heavily. Let's be fair, if I already gave about...
So, by the way, if you want to see the video about this operating system, please give a like to this video, subscribe, and search. I made a video about that.
30% of all my revenue to Valve by just having the most sales of my games on Steam, I'm probably not rooting for them to take over 20, 30, 50% of the gaming OS market share. I'm probably financing another opportunity that isn't linked to a specific game store. We also have Microsoft adopting Vulkan's shader format instead of their own format in DirectX, meaning that they are moving towards more open standards, not closing things down. And that's interesting. It doesn't mean they'll move to Vulkan or anything, but interoperability is good.
This is for the back end, and I think it's great.
Probably not an attempt at embrace, extend, extinguish, because good luck Microsoft trying to extinguish the Kronos group. You know, the consortium backing and making Vulkan, who is composed by Apple, Intel, AMD, Nvidia, Samsung, Qualcomm, Google, and a bunch of others, including Valve. And we also have the current rise of Linux on the desktop. Still small, like 4.5%.
Yeah.
Is going
Look at this.
Exponential, pretty much. And the more Linux users there are on PC, the more gamers there are as well. So in the end, is Linux gaming really...
Hey bro, you're not on Linux yet? Okay, I stopped my joke.
Right now, I'd say it's on a blade's edge. A gust of wind from Microsoft or from Valve in one direction or the other could just completely destroy all of our current efforts, or could make Linux gaming a huge market. They are, in my opinion, more bad news in terms of which games are working and our efforts than they are good news, but there's also a lot of hope on the horizon, and if that hope can materialize in the form of SteamOS for everyone, Playtron OS, maybe more partnerships with kernel-level anti-cheat tools, then I think we're good. Linux gaming hasn't failed already. It could very much fail. It could very much succeed. It will all depend on how much Microsoft or Valve decide to duke it out and where they decide to push. Those are the two companies that will influence where Linux gaming is going. Where this video is going, though, is to...
Okay, so now it's a sponsor. So I'm not playing the sponsor, chat. And yes, if you want to support the channel, don't forget to do it. Like and subscribe also. Like, I'm going to put a link of this video in the channel, but I'm pretty sure all of you who are here, they already like seen Nick. That was a pretty good video, chat. That was a pretty good video. But I do believe that Linux is going to win for everything. For gaming, for everything else. It's going to take time. And right now, like as you said, Aurora, we are maybe at 5% market share at the end of the year. But man, this is a big exponential growth. I think end of next year is going to be decisive. When Windows 10 is out, we will see where we're at. But more in another video. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, give a thumbs up to this video. And if you want to watch this React video live, it's on Wednesday and Friday on this channel. Bisous.